Everyone, thank you very much for waiting. We will now begin the 61st TIEC Cross-Exchange Cross-Cultural Seminar. I will be today's moderator, and my name is Goto. Thank you very much indeed. First, on behalf of the organization of this seminar, Mr. Takafumi Ota, Deputy Executive Director, Student Exchange Department, Japan Student Services Organization, will deliver a video letter.
Hello, everyone. My name is Takafumi Ota, the Deputy Executive Director of Student Exchange Department of Japan Student Services Organization. Thank you for participating at today's TIEC Cross-Cultural Seminar. At the Cross-Cultural Seminar, we invite professionals from different fields as lecturers to deliver further understanding of Japan or Japanese culture from multidimensional perspectives. Today's theme is learning culture while experiencing omotenashi. We have invited International Omotenashi Association lecturer Ms. Sae Kikuchi to deliver a speech, followed by International Omotenashi Association lecturer Ms. Soto Yamamoto to conduct a tea ceremony workshop. At the workshop, we would also have a mizuhiki, or Japanese traditional way of trying chords, along with an origami workshop as well. Looking back quite in time, when we were still deciding about the location for the 2020 Olympic Games, at the 2013 International Olympic Committee's general meeting, the word omotenashi was used to deliver a strong appeal about Japanese culture. All around the world, there are many different types of manners, ways of services, but omotenashi is different in history, spirits, and attitudes. However, only a few people who live in Japan can clearly explain the definition of omotenashi. I hope today's seminar would be the first step to further understand and discover the meaning of omotenashi. I would like to conclude my message by celebrating this fruitful session to be held. Thank you.
That was Mr. Takafumi Ota, Deputy Executive Director, Student Exchanges Department, Japan Student Services Organization. We will now begin Part 1. Mrs. Sae Kikuchi will give a lecture on the theme of learning about culture through omotenashi experiences. She is from International Omotenashi Association. She has worked as a flight attendant for ANA for 17 years. She has also been in charge of VIP flights for the political and business world. And she has been a human resources instructor. Since 2007, she has worked as a training instructor conducting training in China, Hong Kong, the United States, and other countries. She has ample experience in supporting people from different cultures. In today's lecture, Ms. Kikuchi will be sharing her knowledge and experience and will be teaching us about culture while experiencing omotenashi. Let's welcome her with a round of applause. So, Ms. Kikuchi, please.
Hello, everybody. Thank you for having interest to the word omotenashi, and also for participating at today's cross-cultural seminar. As introduced, I am from the International Omotenashi Association, lecturer Sae Kikuchi. So thank you for coming here. Kikuchi, my surname. The kiku of Kikuchi represents a Japanese flower. Are you familiar with this flower? Thank you for nodding. It represents The sakura cherry blossom represents a spring flower in Japan. But there is a flower that represents autumn. This is the flower called kiku. Have you seen it before? After this session, we would be having a tea ceremony session, and of course, we would be having some interactions as well. But I hope you remember me as this kiku, meaning chrysanthemum in English. But please do feel free to call me Kiku-san or Kiku. So I would like to ask first about, do you know OMOTENASHI? Have you heard of it? So today's session, I would like to explain about the Japanese culture through OMOTENASHI. After this session, you would experience mizuhiki origami tea ceremony sessions, but even in tea ceremonies, mizuhiki, and in origami, the omotenashi mind is incorporated. It has a long history, and it has blended in well in Japanese society. And many people around the world have been visiting Japan. These many people from overseas, it seems that their main intention, or number one intention, is to experience Japanese culture and Japanese history. And within that history and culture, omotenashi experiences is included. So today, before you go into the tea ceremony experience, I would first like for you to learn about omotenashi with me. Now, let me ask you all a question. Let's say you had a very thirsty guest, a friend even. If you were to offer tea to this guest or friend, what kind of tea would you offer? Let's think about this together. I will give you 3 options to answer. Please raise your hand for whichever option you think is appropriate. I would ask this later, so please think about it first. So option number 1, I'll explain first. Let's say it's a large tea bowl with the lukewarm tea. Option number 2 is a small tea bowl with a warm tea. Option 3, a small tea bowl with a very hot cup of tea. So from option 1, 2, and 3, which type of tea would you offer your guest or friend? Who would offer option number 1? Please raise your hand. Most people have raised their hand for option number 1, it seems. Thank you. Let's ask. Option number 2. Who would offer option number 2? Okay, we see a couple of people. Thank you. What about option 3? No one for option number 3. Great. So option number 1 was most popular. I would offer option number 1 as well. First, the point is that their guest is very thirsty. So this guest would want to probably drink tea immediately. If it's too hot, it's difficult to drink, right? So we need to consider a temperature that is easy to drink. And also, if this guest is very thirsty, it's better to have a large cup of tea rather than a small cup of tea, right? So that is why I would offer tea in a large tea bowl. Do you agree? If you agree with me, can you raise your hand? Thank you. So most people seem to have the same way of thinking as me. So this act of respecting the other person, to consider what he or she would feel better, to think about that other person, to do something for that other person. That is the act of omotenashi. It's to respect others, to look up to someone else, to use your heart and do your best. That is the definition of omotenashi. So, have you experienced omotenashi in Japan, everyone? This omotenashi, when we trace back in history, the origin, 593, maybe even earlier than that. Well, around 593, the word omotenashi has been there. So more than 1,500 years ago, this mind of omotenashi has been there to cherish the other person and to all be in harmony with no conflict. To do something for the other person, this spirit is omotenashi. To use a difficult way of Japanese word, we have a saying called wa omotte totoshi to nasu. Translating to harmony is to be valued. So for long years, the word omotenashi has been cherished throughout history. So another word that is used in a similar way with omotenashi is manner or service. Even Japanese people sometimes think that it's a similar way of thinking, omotenashi, manners, and service, but actually it's quite different when we look into it deeply. When we look into the word service, this word service, in something that we use in business, when you receive service, you pay for that service, right? Within that paid compensation, the actions that come in return is what we call service. The word manner in the center part, the word manner represents the basics of human relationships. To think about the other person and to not have any inappropriate things to happen or say anything inappropriate. We have the word manner. And then finally, on the very left-hand side, omotenashi. So omotenashi is to think about the other person and to consider what would be better for that person and to do your best to meet his or her, exceed his needs, his or her needs. It's to have the wa, mind of wa, or the respectful mind. In detail,
To give you a specific example, will you often go to coffee shops? In Japan, we have many coffee shops. So when you think about service, you pay that person, and then looking into that amount, then you would have this content of the service. So for example, if you order cafe latte, and then there would be milk, like a low-fat milk, or soy milk. So those kind of various within the amount you have paid, and within that scope, you would be having a lot of selection within that field. And as for manner, you would not annoy the other person, so you would be more considerate. So that has become a shape. So for example, you would be smiling and greeting to that person, or you will be listening intentionally and do eye contact. So those are the manners. And then, lastly, omotenashi. You would be thinking about that person, you use your mind, and you do your best. So for example, if I go to a coffee shop and if I want to use this pot, then I have ordered a coffee. And then in that coffee shop, nowadays, after the COVID-19, there are shops which have discontinued to serve coffee in your own tumblers. So they would serve coffee in these kind of cups, and then you would do it by yourself. And during those occasions, the staff of the coffee shops, in order not to let yourself burn and not to spill it over, they would slightly fold the edge of the customer's cup to make it easier for them to pour into the tumbler. So it is not included in the coffee price. I think this customer must be pouring this coffee into her tumbler. They would think, this coffee is hot, so in order to prevent her from injuring herself, then I would rather fold the edge of the customer's cup. So those kind of consideration, and based on those consideration, they have took an action, and that is the omotenashi. So everyone, how about you? I have given an explanation so far about Japanese omotenashi. Have you ever experienced omotenashi? In various places, there are omotenashi, and I hope that you have received omotenashi in Japan. Anyone who has experienced omotenashi, please raise your hand. Several people here. Thank you very much. I would like to listen to your each and everyone's experience about omotenashi, but since the time is limited, after the trial session and after we would be having a coffee session, so please come up to me and tell me your experience. Thank you. My recent omotenashi experience is as follows. When I was getting on the Tokaido Shinkansen, I was to meet my friend in Osaka. The next station was Shinagawa after Tokyo, and I got on the train at Shinagawa. And before that, I had bought a souvenir for my friend in Osaka. And then, inside the Shinagawa station's kiosk, I have bought a souvenir and has come up with this kind of paper being wrapped over the paper bag. Do you know this? Usually here, there is this souvenir bag and then a vinyl plastic cover. Can you see? In department stores, when you buy a goods in Japanese department stores, have you ever experienced such service in Japan? Please raise your hand. Thank you. So I guess maybe you have been here in Japan for more than several months or maybe several years. Some people may know this, but this is to prevent the items not getting wet. It's called rain cover in Japan. And when I bought a souvenir in Shinagawa, I have received this service. And in Tokyo, it wasn't raining. But this shop assistant has said that, are you going to get on the Shinkansen? Then, in Osaka, or on Western Japan, western parts of Japan, would be having a heavy rainfall. Tokyo, it's sunny, but would you like a vinyl cover? That's what she has said. So I am standing in front of her, and it's not raining at that moment. But since I am going to Kansai, Osaka, she has actually thought about my actions. So, since I would be giving this souvenir to her, this is a very precious souvenir. This shop assistant had thought that it's not good. It's not good for your friend either. So she had thought about Osaka's weather, and that's why she has placed this vinyl cover. I was really, really impressed. It's not raining in Tokyo, but my next destination is Osaka, and this person has thought about that. So she must be so kind. The important thing about Japanese omotenashi is that this person, rather than this person making a request, you would be thinking and you would be making prediction and think about what's the best way. So to make a consideration beforehand is a very important way of thinking in omotenashi. So rather than being told beforehand, what can I do to make that person pleased? And you would act before the other person saying or telling you what to do. So this is one of the good features or unique advantages of Japan. I used to work in an airline industry, and during that time, I was looking at each and every customer, and before being told, or maybe before this person pressing the call button, I was told by my supervisor to work and act beforehand. So during the mealtime, this person or this customer would be drinking a wine, but this person's hand has stopped and this person's arm was resting on the armrest. And this means that the wine glass is empty, or maybe there are few beverages. So before being asked for another drink, I would be visiting her or him, and I would carry a bottle or beverages. So those kind of pre-consideration was necessary. So you would think about it beforehand and then act accordingly. And that was what I was told by my supervisor. So some foreign tourists would say, "Why on earth did you understand that I had drank my wine? Are you working based on telepathy?" So those kind of jokes were sometimes heard. So those kind of considering the other person is one of the features of omotenashi.
The backgrounds of omotenashi. Let's think about what are the ways of thinking behind it or the spirit behind omotenashi. You would be experiencing this through the tea ceremony experience later, but it's very deeply connected to sado or tea ceremony. When we look into the origin of the word omotenashi, as I've mentioned, it's been there for more than 1,500 years. It connects with the ways of thinking around the Japanese tea ceremony culture, the spirit of Japanese tea ceremony. Has anyone learned sado or Japanese tea ceremony here? Has anyone learned it? If you have learned about it before, can you raise your hand? Great, thank you. So this word ichigo ichie, have you heard about it? It translates to once in a lifetime encounter. So this word ichigo ichie, once in a lifetime encounter. So again, ichigo ichie means to consider that this moment even that we have encountered, this might be a once in a lifetime encounter. So that is why, if it's a once in a lifetime encounter, we need to feel that this is an important moment and to do your best to respect and have a better time with the other person. That is the meaning behind ichigo ichie, or once in a lifetime encounter. This way of thinking for ichigo ichie is deeply incorporated in the Japanese tea ceremony culture. So I hope you see elements of that through the movements of Japanese tea ceremony. So please look forward to the tea ceremony experience. So in the tea ceremony as well, we take action with omotenashi. So I would like to share with you 3 components of omotenashi. So I have been repeating this, but it's to really cherish the other person, the person right in front of you, to really look carefully to that person and think, what does he or she want me to do? Or what should I do to make this person happy? To have that feeling of compassion. Can you see the other person's mind? Can you maybe express that feeling of compassion? It's difficult if you just think about it. Can you really see it, right? It's not something you can literally see. To express your feeling of respect or the feeling that you cherish that other person, it's not something that could easily be expressed well. So it's to do your best and to have that feeling of compassion so that the other person could maybe feel that. And that we can express in the word altruism. So I gave you my story of the Shinagawa Station kiosk, right? So when I bought a souvenir at Shinagawa Station, and that employee at the kiosk probably thought that I was going to visit a friend in Osaka and probably bring the souvenir to that friend. And that employee must have thought, it's going to rain in Osaka. I hope she knows that it's going to rain. I don't want her to ruin her souvenir. So to have that feeling of compassion and to express that feeling of compassion, that employee had used a plastic cover, right? That is for the other that other person. It's to devote oneself to others. That is the component of omotenashi called altruism. And then after taking that action, I felt very grateful, right? I thought, wow, this employee really thought about me. And I was moved. And because I was so moved, I expressed my appreciation by saying arigatou gozaimasu, or thank you. Of course, this employee, I purchased an item at the kiosk, so this employee also shared his or her appreciation to me as well. But to have the feeling of appreciation, both sides, enables both sides to communicate through the minds. It's not just one way, but it's from the person who has given the omotenashi experience and the person who received that omotenashi experience, both sides to have a feeling of appreciation and to be able to feel that both ways. That's the importance of omotenashi. Those of you who have experienced omotenashi, how did you feel? I might say you probably had felt the other person's consideration, right? So we have been greatly praised for the Japanese omotenashi, but it's because it's not a one-way service or anything. It's because both sides, the person who is delivering omotenashi, receiving omotenashi, they both feel good about the experience, right? So now, there are many guests coming from all around the world to Japan, and they are curious about Japanese history, Japanese culture, and they really want to experience that. It seems that about a quarter, maybe 22% or so, they say they want to experience Japanese history, culture, or they're curious about Japanese history or culture. I am very grateful of this data. So even within this Japanese culture, the spirit of omotenashi, I would like to continue my activities to spread this spirit. So next, I would like to explain to you how to express omotenashi. So I would like to ask again, the Japanese omotenashi, or it could be a Japanese custom. In your countries, and comparing it with Japanese omotenashi, I'm sure there are many different points. But when we think about Japanese customs or Japanese traditions, what is something that pops up in your mind? What would you say? I think bowing. When you reflect it back with your own countries, do you have a tradition to bow? What would you say? In your countries, who says that they have bowing as a tradition or custom? I see about 3 people in this room. So I see 3 people who say that bowing is in a tradition of theirs. Oh, we have one guest from Thailand. Yes, Thailand is praying and also bowing. What about the guest behind? Which countries are you from? Myanmar. Yes, Myanmar, you bow and pray as well. Are you from Myanmar as well? No, I'm from Thailand. Okay, great. So in Asia, or Asian regions, or Buddhist countries, or people who follow Buddhism, I think bowing is a tradition that you follow. So first, we make action, take action, and to express that feeling of respect, we in Japan bow. But in your countries, you might not bow, but maybe some of you have come to bow since you came to Japan, right? Who here has came to bow ever since coming to Japan? Great.
Thank you very much. So yes, Japanese people, they bow a lot. In various places, you would see them bowing. So, in what kind of situation? Well, first of all, when greeting someone saying, "Ohayou gozaimasu," good morning, thank you very much, arigatou gozaimashita. So, those greetings. And then, you would like to convey the gratitude. And when apologizing or expressing apology, "I'm extremely sorry," we would bow deeply. And then, when making a request, "yoroshiku onegai shimasu." So when making a request, we would bow. And when you go to shrines or temples and you want to pray, you go to a shrine, and when you want to pray, then you would clap your hand and you would bow. In temples, you would just use your prayer gesture. So in various and many places, Japanese people would express their feelings by bowing. And the basic gesture is bowing. You would lower your head. So this is the most weak point in your body. And by showing that to the other person, you would be showing your respect to this person, that you would not have any bad feeling towards them. So you will be here, you are here to learn omotenashi. So this very courteous bowing is what I would like you to actually experience. Okay, so would you be kind enough to stand up? Thank you very much. So now I would be showing you the most considerate and very nice way of bowing. So please put your ankles together. That would make you look beautiful. And your hands on your sides of the body or maybe in front of you. And please face me. Okay? So face the person you are going to bow and look into the person's eye. Not like this facial expression. Is it good? No. Smile is better. So have a smile on your face. Very good, everyone. Okay, smile. And then first, many Japanese will be doing this. Ohayo gozaimasu, konnichiwa. Like this. Arigatou gozaimashita. Have you seen those? So they bow together with their words, but the better way of showing is you would say ohayo gozaimasu, the phrase first. Phrase first. So that means that you are trying to convey your message to the other person, and then you would bow. And then you would smile again. I would show you now, okay? Please watch me. This is not good. This is not good. No. I would say ohayo gozaimasu, say my word, and then bow. And then come up again, and then smile at the other person. Okay. So this is daytime, so would you say konnichiwa to me and then bow, please? Very good. Good, excellent. Very good, everyone. Everybody, you have done it instantly. Wow. Even for Japanese people to do these kind of nice greeting, it's quite difficult. Okay. Smile even more, please. Okay, let's go. Okay, very good. Very good. So, phrase first and then bowing later. This means that the words first and the attitude comes later. We call this in Japanese gosen-go rei. So since you are learning omotenashi here today, and by knowing this omotenashi mind, one method of showing that is to do this gosen-go rei greeting. And please use that in front of a Japanese person. Maybe the Japanese person would be so delighted to see you and be impressed. Thank you very much. So please take your seat once again. So you have now been able to do this gosen-go rei bowing. So this is to convey respect and reverence to the other person. That was the Japanese way of bowing. Today, I have explained about omotenashi in my seminar. Do you remember omotenashi? What was it? You think about the other person, you cherish that person, and then what is this person thinking? What would this person be pleased by my actions? So do your utmost and to please that person. That is the definition of omotenashi. And omotenashi mind itself does not necessarily be conveyed to the other person. So by showing respect and your kindness towards other person and to show that through your action, this means altruism. Altruism. And through your action, the other person would be delighted and happy, and you yourself would be happy again, and you would be having this heart-to-heart feelings of exchange. So these are the 3 minds of omotenashi. And then, to show the omotenashi and as a Japanese basic way of doing, you have just done this gosen gore bowing. So even when sitting on the seat, you can do that. We will be having this tea ceremony experience later on. And tea ceremony is also a tradition where bowing begins and bowing comes to the end. So this is a kind of an exchange which would be having. So you would bow first, and then at the end of the session, you would bow. So please, during this tea ceremony experience, you have been able to do the bowing just now. So please use that during the tea ceremony as well and convey your message to them. So maybe if you could come with a pair, if you could find another partner. Okay, can you stand up again? So find a partner, and if you could do konnichiwa, say your name, and do bowing. Can you do that? Anyone? Okay, someone in your neighbor? Okay, everyone. You have a very nice smile on your face. Very nice. And you have been doing eye contact, and through eye contact, you are showing to the other person that you treasure your partner. So before bowing, you are able to convey that message. And then by bowing, your feelings would be conveyed even more. I have just told you once, but you have been able to actually do the bowing. So very, very good. So you have been treasuring the Japanese culture, and I feel even more happier by absorbing Japanese culture and actually showing that. I'm really grateful. Thank you. Please take your seat. So my seminar is up till now.
So I would like to thank you for really having that eyes of passion towards me and even really taking action with the bowing session. And I appreciate your deep curiosity towards Japanese culture and also to have the same way of understanding of thinking when it comes to omotenashi. I am very grateful for your curiosity and your interest today. And so I have been able to explain to you about omotenashi. So followed by this, you would be having a workshop with Japanese tea ceremony, mizuhiki, origami. I hope you feel the spirits of omotenashi through those workshops. So after this, you would have the origami, mizuhiki, tea ceremony workshop. So please stay tuned and please look forward to the workshop as well. So again, it was learning about Japanese culture through omotenashi. So that was the theme of my speech. Thank you very much for listening.
Thank you very much indeed, Ms. Kikuchi. Everyone, please give a big round of applause once again. For those of you watching on YouTube, this concludes today's seminar. Thank you very much indeed for watching today. Thank you.